everybody. I accidentally lost my footage of me crafting with the contents behind day 13. So I thought maybe instead what I would do, since we've just crossed over the halfway point, that maybe I'll just recap and do a showcase style video instead. And I will show you all of the cards I've made from days 1 through and including day 13. So apologies that you're not getting a tutorial video today, but hopefully if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, you can sort of catch all of my makes in this one video. And then what I'll do is, as I show each video, I'll pop a link in the upper right hand corner to the tutorial video of me making that card. I do have tutorial videos for days 1 through 12. And so if you're curious about any of those, you can check out that video in more detail. So let's get started with day number 1 of the 2021 Crafter's Companion Advent Calendar. So behind door number 1, we got a butterfly die, and this one's kind of cool because it does have this liftable component or feature to it. So it's one die cut, but the wings, if you choose not to glue them down as I've chosen here, can lift up. Of course, if you are popping this into an envelope or sending it through the mail, it'll flatten down unless you actually put something under there, like foam to keep it raised. But this is really, really thin, so it's going to be really hard to put foam beneath there. But it's always a cool effect to see. So you could always pop it in like an envelope box, and that'll protect it from being flattened and keep that sort of dimension. The card that I actually made on camera was this one, but it's pretty much very similar in style and technique. And again, I did leave the wings unattached so they can be lifted from the card base. Okay, so that was day 1. Day number 2, we got a couple of dies, heart and a circle, and then we got a few stamps. So we got 3 sentiment stamps, love you, be mine, and true love, and they are, the stamps do coordinate with the die, and they're kind of like conversation hearts, so super cute. So I made this double Z fold with a little extra pop-up stand to create this cascade of suspended hearts. That was day 2. Behind door number 3 was a stencil, and the stencil design has this leafy pattern, but it also included some florals that like little flower buds. I just chose not to stencil over that area because I just wanted the leaves. In this sort of eclipse-ish card, I did add the shadow backing plate layer in black just so that it's more legible, but the inside, the actual die cut thanks word does continue the pattern that's been stenciled onto this card front panel. Day number 4, we got a stamp and die set, and I made a 6x6 card. This one has the dragonfly in 2 different parts. So you have a stamp and die for the body by itself, and then a stamp and die for the wings by itself, so that you can assemble that however you like. And I just used some shimmer powder to create this fun kind of dramatic background. So there's that for day number 4. Then on day number 5, we got 2 dies to create this layered gift, and you get the one die that will do sort of that backing plate, and then a second die that cuts out this more detailed present. And the openings here are pretty large, so you could, inlay some of die cut it from a coordinating piece of cardstock and then inlay those pieces back in. So that's always an option. That was day number 5. Day number 6, we got a stamp of a 2-tiered cake, and I made 2 cards. So this one, I combined it with a glimmer plate and die set, and this one I didn't add a sentiment yet because I think this can be for any occasion, really, any celebratory occasion. So I left room to add a little glimmered sentiment. And so I'll choose that sentiment when I go to use this card. But I thought it was really a fun kind of striking card that's just been gold heat embossed. So that was day 6. Then on day 7, we got a stamp and die set. So 2 stamps and 2 dies. There's the leaf stamp, which also has a coordinating die. I just didn't use it on this card. And then the pumpkin stamp and die. And this is a pretty nice size pumpkin too. So really nice for fall themed cards. On day 8, we got a stencil and die set. So the stencil will create the spider web, like a full spider web. Let's see, I do have 3 cards. I don't think any of my cards, this one probably comes closest. So you do get the spider web in full. I've just used it to stencil on some borders to make my background for these 3 cards. And there is a stencil pattern for the spider. I just didn't happen to use it on any of my cards because I chose to use the spider die instead. And so there are the 3 cards that I made with day 8 stencil and die set. On day 9, we got a stamp and die set of this fluted champagne glass. And so I created a double slider where our glasses clink in the middle. So there's that. On day 10, we got an embossing folder, and the embossing folder is actually larger than what you see here. It's actually closer to 2.5 by 2.5, but because I had and still have a ton of these tiles that are about 1.25 inches or so square, these were just die cut remnants from another project. And so what I did was just did a partial embossing where I picked out the 2 largest snowflakes on the embossing folder, which had a total of 4 different snowflake patterns. And I just placed the cardstock below those 2 large snowflakes and tried to center them as best as possible. The one of the corners on each of these tiles did catch an embossed design of the snowflake that was kind of near that design, but you don't even know that because of where I've chosen to rotate or orient these tiles and then hide them with my sentiment. So the sentiment is actually covering those little remnant pieces or areas that were embossed that were of a different snowflake pattern than the predominant one that I wanted to showcase. So that was kind of fun to do. I've never thought about doing like a partial embossing, but that was kind of fun. Then on day number 11, we got a stamp and die set of the birdhouse and bird. And so I did this sort of ink blot stamp coloring technique, which I thought was a lot of fun to just create these different birdhouses going across this mini slimline card. So that was day number 11. Day number 12, we got the happy word die, and I just die cut it a few times, more than a few times, out of different colored, sort of rainbow colored cardstock. If I had it to do over again, I would choose a different shade of green because this more pastel-y green gets a little bit lost, but I was pulling things out of my scrap pile, and I didn't have a more, I think if I had to do it over again, I would pick a green more like that, because that would stand out, I think, a little bit better. But the fun technique of this was that I used a full sheet of double-sided adhesive, and that made it easy to stick down this happy die cut because it's so scripty and delicate. And then to fill the rest of the exposed adhesive, I just poured glitter down, but then I mixed some of my glitters to have a little bit of an ombre effect. So it goes from white to silver to sort of a slate color, which I thought was super fun. I've never done that before, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So I actually may use that technique again in the future for sure, because I like the look of it and I like the effect of it, and it'll be interesting to do it in like different color tone glitters as well. Then that was day 12, so then we're up to day 13, today's door. We got the birthday word die to complete our happy birthday sentiment, and I think it's the only word sentiment that we got in die form so far. So it's nice that they've given us the complete sentiment for happy birthday, which is a very useful sentiment. I mean, that's definitely one that I would use a lot, because I think after Christmas cards, birthday cards are probably what I make the most of. And so so it's nice to have a lot of different options for happy birthday. And then I did have leftover presents from when I crafted with day, I think it was 5 when we got these dies, and so I used those and some pattern paper to create this card. So that is a recap of all of the cards that I've made so far using the contents behind the advent calendar doors. And what I think I will do on day 24 is maybe craft with whatever's behind day 24 and combine it with as many of the previous 23 days in order to create maybe a sort of a 10 cards 1 kit style video, or possibly a flip style video where I create at least 1 flat, 1 layered, 1 interactive, and 1 pop-up card using basically the entire advent calendar items. So that is my current thinking for day 24. But we have a lot of days between now and then, so I hope that you will join me tomorrow to see what is behind day number 14. Thank you so much, and apologies again for losing the footage on how I made this card. It's pretty similar to how I made this card, so if you want, you can pop back to day 5 to see how I made that. But otherwise, I hope you'll come back tomorrow and see what I made for day 14. Until then, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.